Welcome everyone to episode 10 Community Radio. This week's theme is hope. My name is Paul Riley, and I'm excited for this show today. We have nearly an hour's worth of music to share today. So definitely, if you are in need of a dose of hope, hopefully this show helps out today. Uh, if you're just joining us, if you've never listened to an episode of Community Radio before, let me give you a little insight into what we do. Every week, I choose a theme. Over the next 7 days, people add songs to a Spotify playlist. On that theme, one song per person. And the following Sunday, I record a show and post it. We've been in a few different incarnations over the past few weeks, past 10 weeks or so. Instagram, Live, YouTube, a functionality that allows people to play both the video recording I'm doing and then also the Spotify playlist so it syncs up. Talking with my friend Brendan Tompkins, I got some ideas on how to improve this in the future, so we'll see. But the point is, people share great songs, music they enjoy, and we play it and listen to it. And the playlists you have for whenever you want to listen to them. And then I get to record videos and talk for a while. We have so much music today. I'm going to stop talking for right now and get to the first song. We have a bunch of songs selected by our good friend Allison, but they all are different. Genres are different enough that I'm excited to share these with you. So let's jump into the first song in our playlist this week, episode 10, Hope. This is Iron and Wine with Upward Over the Mountain. Iron and Wine, Upward Over the Mountain. Thanks, Allison, for that selection to get us started. This week's theme, as I have already established, is hope. Why hope? Well, 2 days from now, as of this recording, maybe a day from when this actually goes up on YouTube, considering its length, we're having a national election. A lot of us have been able to vote already, but yeah, it's really scary for a lot of us who don't want to live in a fascist nightmare anymore. Um, there's a lot more work to do regardless of what happens on Tuesday, but the thing that all of us need, not just this week, but a lot of times this year, and just, as human beings, is hope. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. Emily Dickinson. I talked about this last week about the that excerpt from Emily Dickinson's poem that John Green read the day after the election of Donald Trump 4 years ago. And I think that it's really important to not delude yourself into just expecting something to get better, but to have a reason to keep going. And I think for that is what hope is, that there's a reason to keep going. I don't know what that reason is for you. For me, it's the people I know, the opportunity to help more people feel less alone, to see some of the systemic problems that we are challenged by on a daily basis, to have those systems dismantled. There's a lot of reasons to hope, I think, and one of the things I love most about music, it's the ability to create that feeling for us. So we've got a lot of other songs ahead. We're going to keep it moving. Next song is from Florence and the Machine. It's called Shake It Out, and it's song number 2 on episode 10 of Community Radio here in WRBP. Enjoy. All right. Florence and the Machine, Shake It Out, off of the album Ceremonials, released in 2011. Feels like a century ago. I don't know about you. Nearly 10 years ago. Uh, Gang, it is getting cloudier by the day. That's not what I meant. Cloudier by the hour. Yesterday was a nice sunny day here in Lowell, Massachusetts, but it was a lot of gray last week. Um, I think the thing I appreciate about that is we've had a drought for a long time in Massachusetts, and that grayness came with a lot of rain. And as someone who used to love blue skies an awful lot, like creepily need blue skies as a kid. Landon wants to get up and have a comment about blue skies. It's nice to not need them anymore, right? To know that the rain that comes is beneficial, that darkness, a dimness is part of this world, and it's not the thing that needs to be fought against, and it's not the thing that causes whatever malady you're feeling. I didn't plan this, but the thing to know with all moments, as the great George Harrison said, named his album, well, he said, all things shall pass. This is okay, go. With this too shall pass. On Community Radio. Okay, go with This Too Shall Pass. Um, performed with the marching band of Notre Dame. So definitely a different sound from a band that I remember used to run on treadmills all the time. Well, just that one time for a music video. Well, they probably had to do it a lot. Now that I'm thinking of it, I think I even saw an interview where they like had to do multiple takes. Anyway, that song isn't as hopeful. This one, which was great. Thanks, Allison. We got a little, PSA for you all. Should have had this queued up. But this is how independent radio works. Bounce, you flow. If you don't have it perfect, that's all right. You just keep snapping and putting another sound into the collage of the show itself. So here's another PSA. Again, the past few weeks we've been running this PSA that I wrote. We still have 2 days until Election Day. If you haven't gotten out, if you weren't able to mail in the ballot, if you weren't able to do it early, we're going to need you to do it on Tuesday, and we're going to need you to vote for people who aren't fascist. So that'd be great. Here's why. Have you ever baked something, say a cake? You get all of your ingredients, eggs, oil, sugar, flour, all the other ingredients you need as required by dietary restrictions. And after mixing them all together, what do? You put it in a pan for the actual baking. Well, in the same way, fighting fascism requires a lot of ingredients. Being anti-racist, that's like the flour. Supporting mutual aid organizations, it's like the oil. Protesting in the streets, that's sweet, sweet sugar. But if you're not voting, it's like you're pouring your batter right onto the bottom of the stove. It catches on fire and burns your house down. So make sure you have a plan to vote by or on Election Day, November 3rd. Get a friend to serve as an accountability buddy. Celebrate the work of standing up for justice and democracy and telling fascists to go to hell. Otherwise, baking cakes will be the least of your worries. Voting. It's great. And then get a cake afterwards, right? I've been saying this, I've been reading this thing. I just want a cake, really. There's a nice little cupcake store down the block. I'm probably going to have to go there later today. I've not been good about baking, but I have been good about voting. I've done it once for this election, which is the maximum number of times I can do it. So, there you go. We got more songs, gang. It is just keep going. Kesha is an artist that we all know used to live in a dumpster in the days of 2009's Animal. But the album Rainbow is full of vulnerability and a whole new side, not a whole new side, but just a different side than what people might think. And I appreciate this selection. It's called Rainbow, and it's up next on episode 10 of Community Radio. All right. That was Kesha with Rainbow. Before we get to the next song, I wanted to share a little story. I used to, I did 2 years of AmeriCorps national service with a particular organization. I won't name now just because who knows? City year, city year. I served with city year in New Hampshire. You might know that. You probably know that. You're likely someone who knows me pretty well. We at city year when I served, they believed that Martin Luther King Day, it shouldn't be a day off; it should be a day on. Um, serve your community. And my second year was a really challenging year for me in a lot of ways for a lot of reasons. And Martin Luther King Day came around. January in New Hampshire, as you can imagine, is pretty cold. A lot of snow. And but thankfully this day we got to do some service, got to do some food drive, collecting stuff from communities and gathering it and sorting it. We also got to participate in a community celebration at a church in Manchester. And during the ceremony, we all got up, we all stood in a circle, and we sang this song. Um, it's a classic of the civil rights movement. We shall overcome. I think it was definitely a room for a lot of white people, and I recognize that um, that's one thing to stand around a room and pat yourself on the back and feel good about what you've done one day. But I really think that this moment for me was more about recommitting to the hope and the future and the work that was yet to be done. And it helped me keep moving that year. And I'll never forget that circle and this song. And I'm grateful for that. And if you need to remember, sing along with Pete. We shall overcome. Community Radio. Pete Seeger, We Shall Overcome. Live performance. Again, I shared this story earlier. I'm just grateful that there are songs out there that are meant to be sung in communion with other people. And I think not only is the message, we shall overcome, powerful, but also we are not afraid, because when you're together with other people doing what is right, that is power. So don't forget it. And that's one thing I am hopeful for and have hope in and get hope from, is the communion with my fellow people, human beings. So we had our housewarming harvest a few weeks ago, and we didn't really do a good job of promoting the causes as we usually do, recognizing, right, that everyone's in a different space, especially in terms of money. But if you are interested, there are resources on the forum. I'll include them in the description of the video. But you can go to Cheddar Up and donate to any of the causes there. The Open Pantry of Greater Lowell is one. You can also make a donation to us for supplies, and we'll go pick that stuff up. There's also a donation you can make to Swing Left to help ensure that progressives across the country are elected to office. And then the First Nations Development Institute, which is a foundation that makes grants to a variety of organizations supporting and hopefully run by Indigenous people in the country, Native Americans. So that's an option for you. Something to consider as we keep going through this show. We've got another song coming up to you. This is from the Secret Sisters off of the Hunger Games soundtrack. It's called Tomorrow Will Be Kinder. Community Radio. All right. This Tomorrow Will Be Kinder from the Secret Sisters off of the Hunger Games soundtrack. Allison, thank you very much. That's the end of the AB Allison block of music. I really like that song. It reminds me of the music off of the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack. That Appalachia, good old time music, 20s, 30s songs from you know the earth. It feels like. Um, I don't know. I think there's also some hope in that there's some stuff that sticks around for generations. Um, you might have noticed a difference in quality of the light recording a little bit later, but also the sun sets a lot earlier after daylight savings time ends. So that's where we're at. We're gonna keep it moving though. We've got a bunch of probably we're at the halfway mark now. We've got Rilo Kiley coming up. This was chosen by James, and just to share a little bit of what he wrote in the forum, just so I think it's helpful um, to know. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. Any of us who are dealing with mental health issues, challenges, chemical imbalances, it can feel really permanent. That this is how you are, this is who you are, always. But this song reminds us that not only is that not true, but that we have the opportunity to keep working, and every day is an opportunity to be a new version of us. So thanks, James, and thanks, Rilo Kiley, with this song, "A Better Son/Daughter" on Community Radio. Riley Kiley. There you go. Better son slash daughter on community radio. Thanks for sticking with us, gang. Got a lot of great music coming up, a lot of different genres. I'm really excited to go through these. We're just going to keep it going, gang. Listen, I don't have a lot to talk about. I think that the songs speak for themselves, and I think that if you're not checking out the forum, you're missing out on the repository of hope. It's open as long as we need it, which is forever, because you always got to have hope. And so you can check that out. It's a space where people can share quotes or clips or art or stories or whatever it might be that helps you feel hopeful, that helps instill hope in you. We might need that in the next few days, next few weeks. We're going to keep it going, though, with a selection from Kellyanne. This is Streetlight Manifesto. The song is called Somewhere in the Between, and it's up next on Community Radio. The way to my heart is through a ska band. Streetlight Manifesto. Somewhere in the between. Kellyanne, thank you. Uh, You know, I'm a sucker for that kind of music. I'm also a sucker for hope. Gang, that's what we're here about today. Um, we got a lot of songs this week, so I'm struggling to fill in the gaps here, right? I don't have a lot of stories, no news articles. Will Wiggins last week, he's got a podcast still going. Black Oni, check it out wherever podcasts are sold. Um, we're getting ready for the holiday hootenanny in a few weeks. Got some big ideas, big goings on, big doings. 11th annual. I am feverishly cutting out little images to tape to troll dials. So um, that's going well, gang. I think maybe it's the light hour. Maybe it's the Pumpkinhead beer that I'm drinking. But can you talk about that stuff on YouTube? I don't know any of it, the rules and regulations, but um, I do know I'm grateful that you're listening and checking this out. It is a lot of work to put this together, but it's a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying it. Hope you are too. Also wanted to show off this shirt, the first but not the last. Kamala Harris, Lando drinking. Um, whatever happens, keep hope. And be human. To Be Human is next. Mary Beth's selection from the Wonder Woman soundtrack. Great film. One of the top 3, I think, of all those superhero movies that have come out the past 15 years. Yeah, I'd say that. See ya, Labyrinth, To Be Human, Community Radio. See ya. To Be Human. Thanks, Mary Beth. Uh, again, Wonder Woman. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should do so. The 1984 sequel starring Kristen Wiig as the cheetah or something. I don't know. I don't know that lore. That's not my strength. Um, but yeah, appreciate the song. Appreciate you listening. Next song is my selection for this week. I wrote a lot about it on the forum. Would love you to check it out. I think uh, I'll recreate it here. Bob Dylan, an artist I knew about for a long time. 4 or 5, a long time at the time. Speaking like 6 years, right, of my awareness of adult music. Um, but only knew a few songs, and I got the essential Bob Dylan and discovered all these different sounds and styles and voices and characters that existed in his music. Um, and then 2004 got the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan for my birthday, and it was pretty mind blowing. Just the blowing in the wind, classic folk song, protest song, socially conscious song. The Venom in Masters of War. But what really stood out to me was that this was a kid. This was a guy who was freewheeling, lighthearted, funny. There's a lot of humor in this album. And I think there's a lot of silliness, but it's silliness that serves a purpose. And the purpose is hope, I think, in the face of nuclear annihilation, in the face of distrust and animosity around any corner, even this country, right? People not looking at each other with understanding. I think this song is a great one. It's a long one, but it has one of my favorite lines ever written in it. So I'm gonna let you listen to "Talking World War III Blues," Bob Dylan, Community Radio. Talking World War III blues, Bob Dylan off of the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, his second album. That last line is one of my favorites. When I was a senior, I had a choice. I could submit a quote for the yearbook, as many of us have. That was one of the first to be eliminated from my list. I'll let you be in my dream if I can be in yours. Because I knew that that line needed the entire 6.5, 650 that came before it. This experience of being alone and isolated. I mean, encountering a few people along the way, but being rejected and rebuffed and distrusted by each of them. I don't know what it's like to live through the 60s and the threat of nuclear war, but I know what it's like to live through 2020 and the pandemic and the uncertainty of seeing relatives, friends, family in person, being able to be physically connected to the people that we love. I know it's scary. I know it's terrifying. But the thing I love about that song and that line in particular is that we can be with each other. I'll let you be in my dream if I can be in yours. It's a beautiful sentiment from my perspective. Again, one of the best things ever written. Yeah, we're getting close to the end of the show. Again, appreciate you listening. Hopefully the playlist serves you well over the next few days and weeks, however long you need something to keep you hopeful. We're going to close out with songs chosen by my two favorite people who give me hope. Not in any, only in the order of the song selection. That's how the playlist works. First up, we got Jackie with a song from India already. I don't like how that came out, but I'm already here. I Am Light off of Songversation. Enjoy. What a beautiful song. Thank you, Jackie. That was India RE with I Am Light. Uh, I think it was a really powerful song about not being limited. It's beautiful. I won't try to explain it. I hope you enjoyed it. Gang, I think one of the issues with having an episode that is chock full of music, as this one is sometimes you skip over a song. So we actually have two more songs for you. Another selection from Allison. This is Modest Yahoo, One Day, off the album Light, Community Radio. Honest Yahoo, One Day. I feel like there was a time where he was really in the zeitgeist of music, and I think appreciate hearing that song again. Gang, we're just about to close out the show. We've got one more song, but stay tuned because I will be announcing the theme for next week's episode, episode 11, after this. We're going to close out with one of my favorite bands, a selection from my brother, James Riley. They Might Be Giants is the artist. This song comes from an album called I Like Fun, one of the more recent albums. Came out in 2018. I think released a year to the day of the inauguration of Donald Trump as president. I think one of the things I've loved about They Might Be Giants is that they can be very political. They can be very um, critical of social dynamics and social systems that are broken. I think Your Racist Friend off of Flood is an example. Quite a few of the songs off of 2007's The Else. This one may or may not be political and a direct reference to Donald Trump, but I think it's also a call to arms in a way. James shared, and I'll read this because I think it's worth quoting exactly. Right, this week's theme is hope, and a lot of times hope is this lightness, this joy, this opportunity. But I think if you've listened to these songs throughout the show, you've heard how hope has to be a commitment. Like, it takes work to be hopeful. It takes intentionality to be hopeful. As James wrote, sometimes hope isn't a thing with wings. It is a rock that you push uphill because you must. And so, listen to the song, listen to the next week's theme, and let's get this over with. Community Radio. Let's get this over with. They Might Be Giants. Thank you, James, for closing out the show this week. I think, as I was sharing before the song played, there's an element of commitment that is required when it comes to hope, and that we've heard throughout these songs, especially with that one. And so, as I was looking forward to next week, as I'm anticipating next week, because I'm not looking forward to it, I'm just trying to get there. I wanted to choose a theme that would be relevant because between now and next week, we're having a little thing called a presidential election, and it is terrifying to a lot of people, myself included. It is something that I've been stressed out for months about. And it doesn't help that we're in the middle of a pandemic and that the leader of this country has failed fundamentally to be a decent human being for decades, but especially as the leader of this country. So I wanted to make sure that the theme I chose for next week would still be relevant no matter what happened on Tuesday, no matter what happens in the coming days with the election. We might not even know by next week. I probably will. But I think we also have to know that 2020 has been rough, and it probably will still be rougher for the next 2 months. So I did what I usually do when it comes to selecting the theme for these shows. I looked at Wikipedia's Day in History and saw what events, what observations or observances were held on this day. November 8th is next week. And there are a lot of terrible anniversaries, which I've linked in the forum, including the election of Donald Trump. There was one that really struck out to me. One that I think is a guide for how we can approach the next forever. 1892, New Orleans. A variety of unions are founded over the beginning months of the year, culminating with 3 racially integrated unions, the Teamsters, the Scalesmen, and the Packers. They launched a strike to win better conditions, as unions are wont to do. And what's unique about this situation is that these racially integrated and diverse unions, that element was something that the employers tried to take advantage of, to divide white and black union members, to divide a white population against the black union workers on strike, with racist articles and op-eds in the newspapers, with offering white union members the terms that they wanted, but not giving them to their fellow union members. And I'm not saying that these people are heroes, but what I'm saying is that when you stand in solidarity with other people, you win, because that's how things get done. I am grateful to be with all of you and to keep this work going no matter what happens with the presidential election, because we need to keep standing together. We need to keep fighting fascism and hate and isolation and the misery that exists. We have got to stand in solidarity with every other person, knowing that not always the struggle is the same, right? I don't have the lived experiences of a lot of people I need to stand in solidarity with, but I need to put my body there, and my mind and my energy and my time. And that's what we're going to do next week. So over the next 7 days, add one song related to the theme of solidarity. We'll come back and we'll get to work. Take care of yourselves over the next few days. You're loved. You're great. Breathe. The work will always continue. Glad to be doing it with you. Have hope. See you next week.